Every 40 seconds, a woman in the United States dies from cardiovascular disease, and most of them have no idea their circulatory system is severely blocked until the first heart attack strikes. Have you ever wondered if there is a simple, natural, and inexpensive way to clean your blood vessels, improve circulation, and reduce your risk of stroke without relying on prescription drugs? There is a spicy seasoning that many people overlook in their kitchens, yet researchers have shown it can help dilate blood vessels, lower blood pressure, reduce cholesterol, and may even save your heart if used correctly. So, if just one small spoonful a day could improve your cardiovascular system, why wouldn't you try it? In this video, you will discover why cayenne pepper is called the secret weapon against atherosclerosis, how to use it properly for women over 60, who should avoid it, and the positive side effects no one talks about. This is not a folk remedy passed by word of mouth, but a science-backed option that has transformed heart health for thousands of people. If you are in a high-risk age group, have worried about blood pressure or cholesterol, or simply want to lower your chances of heart attack, this is information you cannot afford to ignore. Women over 60 often do not show classic symptoms when their cardiovascular system begins to weaken. Vague fatigue, mild chest discomfort, or brief dizziness may be dismissed, yet in reality, these can be early signs of impaired blood flow. Atherosclerosis, high blood pressure, and elevated cholesterol are silent enemies that progress with age, and without early control, the risks of heart attack and stroke rise year after year. This video is not just about cayenne pepper. It is a reminder that you can take control of much of your heart risk starting right in your own kitchen. Keep watching to learn how cayenne works in the circulatory system and how to apply it safely for women over 60 like you. Cayenne pepper is one of the most powerful spices for cardiovascular support, increasingly recognized by modern science. Its main active compound is capsaicin, a substance that interacts directly with receptors in the blood vessels, helping regulate blood pressure, reduce inflammation, and improve circulation. Once inside the body, capsaicin stimulates the production of nitric oxide, a molecule that relaxes and dilates the arteries, reducing blood flow resistance. This effect is particularly important in older adults, whose arteries often lose elasticity over time due to natural aging and plaque buildup. Beyond enhancing circulation, cayenne pepper helps lower harmful LDL cholesterol and prevent plaque formation along arterial walls. Experimental studies have shown that capsaicin can reduce total cholesterol and triglyceride levels when regularly included in the diet. It may also modestly raise HDL, the good cholesterol that helps clear excess fat from vessel walls. For women over 60, maintaining healthy blood lipids is a crucial step in preventing sudden heart attacks or strokes caused by blocked arteries. Capsaicin also helps reduce chronic systemic inflammation, a hidden driver of many cardiovascular diseases. Persistent inflammation damages vessel walls, making it easier for cholesterol to adhere and form atherosclerotic plaque. If left unchecked, this inflammation increases the risk of plaque rupture and clot formation, leading to acute heart attacks or strokes. Clinical reports show that regular low-dose use of cayenne pepper can lower inflammatory markers such as CRP and interleukin-6, helping protect blood vessel lining naturally and over the long term. Some studies have also observed that capsaicin may help regulate heart rhythm and lower the risk of arrhythmias in older adults. While the exact mechanism is not fully understood, improved blood flow to the heart, reduced vascular tension, and enhanced oxygen delivery to heart muscle are thought to contribute to these benefits. In people with stable angina or chronic ischemic heart disease, improved circulation to the heart muscle may significantly reduce the frequency of symptoms. Additionally, cayenne pepper is considered a gentle circulatory stimulant, supporting peripheral blood flow. In older adults, cold hands and feet, poor circulation to the extremities, and numbness are common issues that may lead to complications over time. Daily small amounts of cayenne can help improve peripheral circulation, reducing discomfort such as stiffness, heaviness, or cold sensations in the hands and feet. With its wide range of cardiovascular benefits, including vasodilation, blood pressure reduction, cholesterol control, anti-inflammatory effects, and circulation improvement, cayenne pepper is far more than just a spicy seasoning. It is a potent natural compound with the potential to support overall heart health, particularly for women over 60 facing the silent progression of vascular aging. However, it must be used correctly and in moderation, as capsaicin can cause unwanted effects if taken in the wrong dose or at the wrong time. Why women over 60 are more vulnerable to heart attacks and strokes. Once women enter their 60s, the body undergoes profound biological changes that directly affect the cardiovascular system. One of the most significant factors is the sharp decline in estrogen after menopause. Estrogen is not only a reproductive hormone, but also a protective factor for blood vessels, keeping them elastic and reducing the risk of plaque buildup. When estrogen levels drop, the vascular lining becomes more fragile, making arteries more prone to cholesterol deposits, narrowing, and blockages. At the same time, the body's ability to regulate blood pressure declines with age. High blood pressure is one of the strongest risk factors for both heart attack and stroke in older women. It often develops silently for years without clear symptoms until a serious cardiovascular event occurs. Without timely control, the heart is forced to work harder to pump blood through stiffened and narrowed arteries, leading to heart failure or myocardial infarction. Another factor is the slowdown of metabolism after age 60, which promotes fat accumulation, particularly visceral fat. This type of fat is closely linked to insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and metabolic syndrome, all major risk factors for heart disease. Older women also tend to be less physically active than men of the same age, and may dismiss warning signs since they often lack the classic severe chest pain. Unlike men, women frequently experience atypical symptoms during a heart attack. Instead of intense chest pain, they may feel unusual fatigue, indigestion, mild chest pressure, or discomfort in the back, jaw, or neck. Because of this, many cases are diagnosed late or even overlooked at home. According to the American Heart Association, women over 60 have a higher mortality rate from myocardial infarction than men of the same age, partly due to delayed recognition and improper response. Stroke is another major concern. When small vessels in the brain are damaged or blocked by clots, blood flow to brain tissue is interrupted, causing severe neurological damage. In older women, atrial fibrillation, high blood pressure, and increased blood clotting significantly raise stroke risk. These factors often go unnoticed until symptoms appear, such as facial drooping, slurred speech, weakness on one side of the body, or sudden unconsciousness. It is also important to note that heart attack and stroke risk is not only biological, but also lifestyle-related. Many older women frequently skip breakfast, eat diets low in fiber but high in salt, sugar, and saturated fats. Overuse of painkillers, sleeping pills, or alcohol further disrupts metabolism and strains the cardiovascular system. Chronic stress, postmenopausal depression, and social isolation also weaken the autonomic nervous system, worsening heart function. For these reasons, women over 60 need more than medication to control blood pressure and cholesterol. They must also adopt healthier daily habits, maintain a balanced diet, and undergo regular checkups. Natural support such as cayenne pepper can be considered as part of a comprehensive prevention strategy to improve circulation, protect vessel walls, and lower the risk of sudden cardiovascular events. How to use cayenne pepper safely and effectively. Using cayenne pepper daily to support cardiovascular health depends not only on its natural properties, but also on the correct way to use it. The wrong dose, taken at the wrong time, or used without considering individual health conditions can lead to unwanted effects, especially in women over 60 whose digestive and vascular systems are more sensitive. The key is knowing the recommended dosage, how to combine it with other foods, and who should be cautious. For older adults, a safe daily amount is typically between 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne powder. For beginners or those with sensitive digestion, start with just a tiny pinch to allow the body to adjust. After 1 week, if no adverse reactions occur, increase to 1/4 teaspoon mixed in warm water, taken in the morning after a meal. Avoid consuming it on an empty stomach to reduce the risk of stomach irritation. Another option is cayenne pepper in capsule form. This is suitable for those who cannot tolerate the spicy flavor or are prone to mouth and throat irritation. Capsules are widely available in health food stores, usually containing 500 to 1,000 milligrams of capsaicin. Beginners should choose the lower dose to avoid side effects such as stomach burning, sweating, or mild palpitations. A popular and effective combination is mixing cayenne with warm water and 1 teaspoon of raw honey. Honey helps ease the spicy taste, adds anti-inflammatory support, and provides a light energy boost in the morning. Some also add a few drops of lemon juice for added antioxidant and digestive benefits. The water should not be too hot, as excessive heat may reduce the potency of capsaicin and damage honey's beneficial compounds. Cayenne can also be sprinkled on meals such as oatmeal, vegetable soup, or mashed boiled eggs. It should not be used with greasy or heavily fried foods, as this increases the chance of stomach discomfort. Consistent daily use in small amounts produces better long-term results than taking high doses suddenly. Certain groups should be cautious. People taking blood thinners such as warfarin, high-dose aspirin, or clopidogrel should consult their doctor, since capsaicin may enhance blood flow and slightly thin the blood, increasing the risk of bleeding or bruising. Women with a history of stomach ulcers, esophagitis, acid reflux, or irritable bowel syndrome should also seek medical advice before daily use. Avoid taking cayenne right before bedtime, as it may increase circulation and slightly raise heart rate, causing sleep difficulties in sensitive individuals. The best time is in the morning or early afternoon, about 30 minutes after eating, to minimize stomach effects. If you are on heart medication, blood pressure drugs, or insulin, monitor your blood pressure and blood sugar closely during the first few weeks to evaluate your body's response. To track effectiveness, pay attention to health indicators such as morning blood pressure, cholesterol levels during routine checkups, circulation in the hands and feet, and the frequency of headaches or chest discomfort if you have experienced these in the past. Many people report noticeable improvements after 4 to 6 weeks of consistent use, including feeling warmer, sleeping better, more stable blood pressure, and reduced coldness or numbness in the feet. Cayenne pepper can be a valuable aid for circulation, but it is not a substitute for prescribed medication if you already have cardiovascular disease. Proper use, the right dose, and careful monitoring will help maximize benefits without unnecessary risks. For women over 60, any dietary change or supplement should always begin with the lowest amount and progress gradually. Beyond its primary role in supporting cardiovascular health, cayenne pepper also provides several secondary benefits that are often overlooked but highly valuable, especially for women over 60. As the body ages, not only the heart and blood vessels, but also systems such as the nervous, digestive, and musculoskeletal systems are affected. When used properly, cayenne can help improve multiple physiological functions, enhancing quality of life and supporting the prevention of chronic conditions. One important benefit is improved circulation to the extremities. Many older women complain of cold hands and feet, numbness, or aching discomfort when the weather changes. These issues often result from reduced blood flow to the small capillaries in the limbs. Capsaicin in cayenne helps dilate peripheral vessels, promoting better blood flow to distant areas of the body. This reduces the sensation of coldness, improves mobility, and enhances sensation in the hands and feet. Cayenne also supports the digestive system by stimulating the secretion of digestive enzymes and gastric juices. Older adults often eat less and absorb nutrients poorly due to declining digestive activity. Taking a small amount of cayenne before meals may stimulate appetite, improve food digestion, and reduce bloating or indigestion. In addition, capsaicin has mild antibacterial properties that help balance gut microbiota and reduce the risk of minor gastrointestinal infections. Another benefit is natural pain relief. Capsaicin works by inhibiting pain signal transmission at nerve endings. Some users report significant reduction in mild headaches, back pain, joint discomfort, or peripheral nerve pain after several weeks of consistent use. Unlike conventional painkillers, this effect is gentler and more regulatory, making it suitable for older adults seeking to reduce reliance on medication. Topical creams containing capsaicin are also used clinically to relieve chronic muscle or joint pain. For those managing metabolism or weight, Cayenne offers mild metabolic support. Capsaicin can slightly raise body temperature after eating, triggering thermogenesis and energy expenditure. While it will not cause significant weight loss on its own, regular use as part of a balanced diet may help maintain stable weight and reduce visceral fat, a major contributor to cardiovascular disease. Another noteworthy effect is blood sugar control. Preliminary studies suggest that capsaicin may improve insulin sensitivity and reduce post-meal glucose fluctuations in people with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. This is particularly useful for older women at risk of blood sugar disorders but not yet requiring medication. However, these findings need confirmation through long-term clinical studies, and Cayenne should never replace prescribed treatment or dietary guidance from a physician. In addition, many older adults who use Cayenne regularly report feeling more alert, less fatigued, and less drowsy after meals. Improved circulation and metabolic support may boost overall energy levels, helping seniors feel lighter, more active, and engaged in daily life. This can be especially important for retired women, those living alone, or those with low physical activity, where sluggishness often contributes to depression and physical decline. Cayenne pepper is not a miracle cure, but when used properly, consistently, and in accordance with individual health status, it can serve as a multidimensional health aid for women over 60. These secondary benefits cannot replace medical treatments, but they make a meaningful contribution to maintaining strength, independence, and vitality in later years. Mrs. Elaine, age 67, living in Arizona, experienced a mild episode of angina 3 years ago. After being discharged from the hospital, she began paying closer attention to her cardiovascular health. Her doctor prescribed blood pressure medication and statins to control cholesterol. Still, Elaine wanted to be proactive and sought natural ways to support long-term treatment. At a senior community event, a friend introduced her to cayenne pepper as a way to support circulation and reduce arterial plaque. At first, she was skeptical. But after reading more and consulting her family doctor, she decided to try 500 milligrams cayenne capsules once daily after breakfast. Within about 3 weeks, she noticed her hands and feet were significantly less cold, a problem that had bothered her for years, especially during seasonal changes. During her morning walks, the tingling in her toes also disappeared. Her average blood pressure dropped slightly, from 140/85 to 130/78. Allowing her doctor to safely reduce her blood pressure medication. Another case is Judith, age 63, a retired nurse with a family history of stroke. She had always been careful about her diet. After attending a community health seminar, she began using powdered cayenne daily, mixed with warm water and a spoonful of honey. After 2 months, her routine blood tests showed her LDL cholesterol had dropped from 160 to 135, while her HDL remained stable. She also reported that her afternoon headaches and fatigue had almost disappeared, allowing her to participate more actively in yoga classes and volunteer work. Not everyone sees positive results immediately. Susan, age 70, started with a dose that was too high and experienced stomach burning in the first few days. She later switched to a lower dose capsule and made sure to take it after a full meal, which resolved the discomfort. She shared that the key was to start gradually, monitor the body's reactions, and listen to what it can tolerate, instead of forcing it. She now continues using cayenne every morning as part of her health routine. While cayenne is not a replacement for prescribed medication, these women's stories show that it can play an important supportive role when used correctly. Most important is a proactive attitude, learning, experimenting safely, and working closely with a physician. For women over 60, small daily changes like this can make a big difference in reducing long-term risks of heart attack and stroke. These are not isolated cases, but part of a growing trend among older women in the United States, where the integration of modern medicine with natural solutions is increasingly being accepted as part of an active, preventive health strategy. Cayenne may be just one small piece of the health picture, but it is a piece that women can control every single day. Warnings and precautions when using cayenne daily. While cayenne pepper offers significant benefits for heart health and circulation, using it incorrectly or in excessive amounts can lead to serious risks, especially for women over 60. Older adults often have more sensitive digestion, slower drug metabolism, and may already be taking multiple medications. For this reason, it is critical to understand key precautions to avoid unwanted side effects when adding cayenne to your daily routine. The first rule is to never take cayenne on an empty stomach. Capsaicin can irritate the stomach lining, causing burning, discomfort, or nausea if there is no food buffer. For those with a history of stomach ulcers, acid reflux, or irritable bowel syndrome, cayenne should be used with close monitoring or replaced with enteric-coated capsules. In all cases, begin with very small doses to assess individual tolerance. Another major risk is interaction with blood thinners. Capsaicin can increase circulation, dilate blood vessels, and has a mild blood thinning effect. This can be dangerous if you are taking aspirin, warfarin, or other anticoagulant medications, as it may increase the risk of bleeding, bruising, or internal hemorrhage. If you are on cardiac treatment or recovering from surgery, never use cayenne without medical approval. Cayenne can also cause a temporary increase in heart rate for a few minutes after consumption due to vessel dilation and improved blood flow. While harmless for most, this can be concerning for individuals with arrhythmias or palpitations. In these cases, avoid cayenne in the evening or during times of high stress. Some users report flushing, sweating, or stomach discomfort when taking high doses, particularly after age 65. Capsule form may seem more convenient and less irritating, but only purchase reputable brands with clear labeling and precise dosage. Avoid products with artificial additives, dyes, or no safety certification. Do not use high-dose cayenne continuously for long periods without medical supervision. It is advisable to take breaks of a few weeks every 2 to 3 months to allow the body to reset and to evaluate real benefits. If you experience unusual symptoms such as prolonged diarrhea, severe abdominal pain, dizziness, headaches, or allergic reactions like rash and itching, stop immediately and seek medical advice. Even though cayenne is natural, it is not suitable for everyone as a long-term daily supplement. Always monitor how your body responds, especially during the first weeks. Another important reminder is that cayenne should never replace prescribed medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, or anticoagulation. It is a valuable supportive tool, but not a substitute for your doctor's treatment plan. If you hope to reduce medication with the help of cayenne, it must be done gradually, under strict supervision, and with follow-up testing. Never adjust or stop your medication on your own. Cayenne delivers its best results only when combined with a healthy lifestyle. A diet rich in vegetables, reduced saturated fats, daily light exercise, and adequate sleep will provide the foundation for your heart and blood vessels to recover and function properly. Do not expect a miracle cure. See cayenne as one small but powerful part of a broader health strategy that you control each day. Cayenne pepper is not an unfamiliar food. It can be found in many kitchens, yet few realize that just a small amount each day may bring meaningful cardiovascular benefits, especially for women over 60. With its powerful compound capsaicin, cayenne helps dilate blood vessels, improve circulation, lower blood pressure, reduce cholesterol, fight inflammation, and enhance blood flow to the hands and feet. When used properly, it can serve as a natural, simple, and cost-effective tool for supporting heart health. Like any approach, the benefits of cayenne do not come from a single use, but from consistency and daily self-care. Health does not come from luck, it comes from informed choices. Choosing the right foods, choosing to change habits, choosing to act before complications appear. With cayenne, you have one more positive choice to take control of your health.
If you have ever worried about heart rhythm, blood pressure, or cold and numb feet, or if you simply want to live healthier and spend more years with your children and grandchildren, start with one small change, adding Cayenne daily. But do not replace your prescribed medication or take it in high doses. View Cayenne as part of a long-term health strategy, not an instant cure. Your body deserves consistent, proactive care. If you found this video helpful, click the subscribe button now. This channel is where you will find practical knowledge on preventing heart disease, reducing stroke risk, and supporting natural health, made especially for women over 60. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Each piece of content is one more step toward living stronger, more independent, and more energetic at an age when many give up. Thank you for joining and listening. May you stay healthy and resilient through every change that comes with age.